Watch your hand the next time you pick up your phone. Before you consciously decide to open an app, your thumb already knows where the icon is. It reaches for the glass on its own. Designers built that reflex into the interface, calibrating the placement and colors of icons to trigger a physical response before your rational mind can intervene. This architecture functions as an active participant in your decision-making, utilizing a specific design logic to keep the user engaged. Every interface is built for cognitive arbitrage. Tech companies harvest your latent attention and convert those fragmented seconds into corporate engagement metrics. Your time on the screen is the product they sell to advertisers. The system deploys sensory scripts to influence your behavior, prioritizing the platform's engagement targets over your original intent. The blueprint for this extraction begins in the 1950s. A psychologist named B.F. Skinner ran a series of experiments on animal conditioning. He placed pigeons in a specialized box equipped with a mechanical lever, offering them a food pellet each time they pressed it. The pigeons quickly learned the connection. But when Skinner shifted the delivery method, the subject's behavior changed. Instead of a guaranteed pellet on every press, he made the reward unpredictable. The pigeons received food at random intervals, sometimes on the first press, sometimes on the 50th. This randomized output is known as a variable ratio reinforcement schedule. Faced with unpredictable returns, the test subjects pressed the levers obsessively, displaying a compulsive repetition absent when the rewards were guaranteed. Decades later, that exact mechanism was lifted from the laboratory and installed on the casino floor. The mechanical lever and randomized visual outcome of a slot machine operate on the exact same psychological grip as the pigeon's box. Modern software platforms hired behavioral scientists to port this specific gambling mechanism into the devices in your pocket. The familiar pull to refresh gesture, found on nearly every app, was intentionally designed to physically mimic the pulling of a slot machine lever. This diagram shows the neurochemistry at work. The line represents dopamine. Notice it peaks sharply during the anticipation of an unknown result. As the outcome appears on screen, dopamine plummets rapidly to baseline. The hook is the mystery itself, not the prize. By structuring feeds this way, platforms guarantee compulsive repetition. They do not reward you with content. They reward you with the chemical anticipation of the unknown. Traditional media has a natural endpoint. A newspaper has a back cover. A television broadcast goes to credits. These structural boundaries are known as stopping cues, signals that tell your brain the experience is complete and it is time to disengage. Digital environments systematically deleted these natural boundaries. The feature known as infinite scroll was specifically engineered to remove the stopping cue from your screen, ensuring the content simply never runs out. Asa Raskin, the interface designer who created Infinite Scroll, later expressed public regret for building it. Without a physical stopping cue, users are forced to rely on their own finite willpower to break away from the screen. Autoplay acts as a second structural bypass. It specifically targets the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for rational planning and conscious decision-making. When one video ends, you normally have a fraction of a second to decide whether to keep watching. Autoplay eliminates that crucial half-second of friction. The next video begins before you can consciously ask yourself if you actually want to view it. Tech companies aggressively market these features as seamless convenience. In reality, they are structural voids, forcing you to manufacture your own boundaries against an adversary whose financial incentive is for you to fail. This capture system also weaponizes human anxiety. Studies document a phenomenon called the phantom itch, where the mere anticipation of receiving a notification generates more stress than the actual information delivered. This diagram visualizes how a simple interface dot acts as a distress beacon. Designers chose red for notification badges because in nature and psychology, red is an evolutionary alert signal for danger. It compels immediate attention. The user checks their device to relieve the stress induced by that red dot. Whether the alert is important or meaningless, clearing it instantly resets the trap, priming the brain for the next wave of anxiety minutes later. Human biology is further exploited through tools like read receipts and typing indicators. These features weaponize our evolutionary need for social reciprocity, turning casual messages into strict obligations with visible public deadlines. To maximize the effect, platforms run experiments on notification delivery. Instead of alerting you in real time, the software will intentionally withhold notifications, releasing them in concentrated clusters at optimized moments, calculated to guarantee your return to the app. The system asserts narrative control over your relationships. Basic social interactions are quickly converted into a high-yield trap, dictating your schedule to serve a corporate metric. Understanding this architecture clarifies a crucial point. Your high screen time is not a personal failure of discipline. You are engaged in an asymmetric conflict against a billion-dollar extraction industry. Using willpower as a defense against this machinery is useless. The system was mathematically engineered by behavioral psychologists specifically to drain that exact resource. The only functional defense is environmental architecture. Instead of relying on personal discipline, you alter the physical and digital space so the software cannot trigger the reflex in the first place. The first countermeasure is eradicating the sensory triggers. Disabling ghost notifications removes the visual distress beacon, while switching your device to grayscale mode strips the interface of its psychological pull. The second step is deliberately reintroducing friction into your transactional mechanics. Logging out of applications after every use, or accessing platforms via web browsers lacking infinite scroll, forces you to consciously decide to engage. Finally, you must physically manufacture your own rigid stopping cues to replace the boundaries that the platforms deleted. Setting a timer or placing a physical object on the phone establishes a concrete endpoint. These platforms rely on operating in the background, disguised as neutral utility. But once you understand the psychological machinery running beneath the glass, it loses its power. The algorithmic capture system is exposed as a manageable mechanical object.